let's now shift focus to diamonds. And we've got Anmol Bhansali, the Managing Director at Goldium International, joining in on the show right now. Anmol, hi, welcome to ET Now. Good to have you on the show. Anmol, first help us understand, when it comes to your business, what's the split between earth diamonds and lab-grown diamonds?
So first of all, thank you for inviting me to represent Goldium on your show. To just clarify for the sake of the viewers, we are a company at Goldium that's 100% value add jewelry manufacturing company. So we don't do any diamond cutting, diamond polishing. We are not present in retail in domestic or elsewhere, but all our operations are 100% value added jewelry manufacturing and exporting. We started production of lab-grown diamonds about 5 to 6 years ago, being one of the earliest and first entrants in the sector, mainly so it could help and add on to our jewelry distribution business. And in the past 2 years itself, there's been a dramatic growth in lab-grown diamond jewelry sales, where last year we were in the high single digits as a percentage of our revenue that was coming from lab-grown jewelry. This year we'll be crossing over 35% in Q1, as we shared, of our revenues coming from lab-grown jewelry exports.
So give me a flavor of where you're exporting to, and given the kind of slowdown that you're seeing right now in the American economy and the demand slump coming in there, what's happening unfortunately in the Middle Eastern region as well, especially with the recent turmoil in Israel, how's that impacting your exports?
Certainly. So over 95% of Goldium's revenues are coming from the United States, where we work with large retailers across the board in the US. We service the mid-market affordable segment of consumers in the US through large corporatized retailers mainly. The slowdown, was largely driven by interest rates and mortgage costs jumping in the United States, but we're seeing great traction in the lab-grown space and consumers coming back online with increased appetite to spend on discretionary items like jewelry. So we're very bullish about and we're feeling good about the coming year ahead. And I think the change of product mix has been extremely significant in the United States in this year. We're seeing broad-based knowledge of what lab-grown diamonds are, what they really mean, an increasing consumer awareness, which is leading to a very strong sales growth in this particular segment of jewelry in the US.
Anmol, I want to understand, in the next 3 to 5 year period, do you think this lab-grown jewelry segment could become a very meaningful part? Because there's a major shift actually happening. And how are the margins in this business? Are they comparable to the natural diamond part as well?
Absolutely. Great question. So we see phenomenal growth, especially for companies like Goldium, because we service the mid segment and the mid market of the United States, who has been so starved of buying a solitaire and large diamond jewelry that this fits perfectly both in budget as well as offering something that is just totally unattainable in terms of look. So we're seeing great sales traction. As I mentioned, for Q1 FY24 itself, we crossed over 35% of our revenues coming from lab-grown, and we see this trend only increasing. In terms of jewelry design and product make as well, I think there's going to be a big shift in the US as people buy large studded diamond jewelry. And in terms of your question regarding margins, yes. So one unique thing about Goldium is that we have an integrated operation where we are growing a very large portion of our diamonds in-house. So not only do we produce the jewelry, but we are backward integrated to growing the center stones and the large diamonds to fit within those bridal jewelry rings. So as a result of that, there's a significantly better margin profile that we are able to enjoy by being backward integrated and going right up until the retailer's doors, in terms of everything being in-house at Goldium.
In fact, we all, some of us have been watching this shift from natural to lab-grown for some time now, but this actually came on the global map when Mr. Modi, who was visiting the White House recently, did gift Mrs. Biden a big piece of lab-grown diamond. You must have seen those pictures as well. And you would have seen the sparkle in her eyes looking at such a huge diamond. I want to understand how big is the size of the opportunity globally for this lab-grown diamond jewelry stuff?
Absolutely, great question. So it's phenomenal because what the president's wife, Mrs. Biden, could enjoy now is being enjoyed by consumers across the world. So it's a great change in product mix of what's happening. In terms of market, if you have to think about it, the overall jewelry market in the US itself is around that 60 billion figure. Lab grown has been increasingly and steadily year on year increasing its share of this pie, where now it's in significant double digits. And as of the latest reports that I saw, over 50% of diamonds sold for engagement rings in unit terms in the US was lab grown in the last few months. And we see this trend only continuing. In terms of opportunity size, in terms of markets, truly the largest consumer market till date is the US for lab grown diamonds. As other markets across the globe in terms of large diamond consuming markets like China, India, Japan, Europe start adopting lab grown diamonds, I believe with the right consumer education and pricing, this share is going to keep getting enjoyed and eaten away by lab grown diamond players over time, especially in the middle income segment.
You know, Anmol, the one thing is, and you know, that's great that you're seeing such a phenomenal jump. I mean, Avana and I were just discussing how can engagement rings not be earth diamonds. But yeah, there is clearly a tectonic shift when it comes to how people are viewing lab-grown diamonds. But you have a pure concentration in the US geography. Aren't you looking at diversifying, maybe testing waters here in India too?
Great question. So we've historically always been an export player and a value-add jewelry export player. The largest country in terms of sales opportunity is the US, and I certainly believe we have a lot of runway left ahead of us to grow within that core segment itself. Having said that, we have also started exploring opportunities for sales in Europe, and as we informed the stock exchanges, we have pushed an entry into a large retailer in Europe as well. Beyond that, management is discussing internally the potential for a domestic retail venture in India. At the moment, that's the only update I can share. But as progress and discussions move forward, we'll be sure to inform the stock exchange as well as news channels and media regarding progress on that front.
Right. So, Anmol, you've really sparked a discussion here in the newsroom between us ladies to talk about, the growth of lab grown. But I know my colleague Ajay already questioned you about this, but I don't think we got a clear answer in terms of the margins that you enjoy on this versus the natural diamonds. Can you give us the breakup and also tell us a little bit more about what the overall revenue mix will grow from lab grown from the current 33%?
Absolutely. So within natural diamond jewelry business, Goldiam has historically done a margin between 15 to 20%, depending on product mix, type of customer, etc. Within the lab-grown jewelry business, this will be in the higher 20s percentage. So allowing us as a company to do a blended EBITDA margin profile in that 20 to 22% range. We think that this is a sustainable level, from which we can focus on growing top line and, offers significant benefit to shareholders as well.
Okay, fair enough. Let's also understand a little bit more about how your online sales are shaping up. Are people actually going online and buying these high value, high ticket items, or is it primarily offline?
Absolutely. So one of the unique things about Goldiam is that we've been a very early mover and an early entrant into pushing online sales. So we don't have our own platform. We don't run on marketplaces. We have deeply interconnected ties with our large retail customers. and we pushed them in the early years of COVID and prior to develop their websites very strongly. So, of course, as you would know, jewelry sales being a large ticket item was one of the last categories to move online, but we've seen significant change and growth here. To share in Q1 itself, FY24 versus FY23, our revenue mix of online sales moved up from 18% to high double-digit 20s, slightly less than 30%, in fact. So for us, it's been a huge driver of revenue growth and very healthy revenue growth, because these online sales work out to happen at great terms for the company, great payment terms from the company. So it allows us to deliver ROE-driven revenues and profits.
Anmol, just outside of a business question, because the acceptance ratio here in India when it comes to lab-grown diamonds is still really minuscule. I mean, people even question whether a lab-grown diamond is a real diamond or not. Just for the benefit of our viewers, help us break the myths.
Sure. So lab-grown diamonds is totally identical to a earth-mined diamond. The only difference is source and origin. A very common way that people used to describe it within the trade is the difference between a baby born naturally versus via the test tube method. So the human is the same, only the origin or creation is different. In terms of chemistry, the physical properties, the all properties of a diamond, lab grown and mined, are exactly 100% the same. The only difference truly is the origin, where we try to, within our reactors and our labs, mimic the temperature and pressure conditions under which diamonds are formed. Start with a real diamond substrate and grow that vertically over the course of a few weeks to a few months in order to recreate diamonds within the lab.
That is so interesting. You've really put it into perspective. Thanks so much for joining in and also giving us more insights as to how the business is growing and how lab grown is really going to pick up as a business, given the strong margins as well that it commands for you.
Thank you.
All right, a quick check-in.